Hi everyone, welcome to another partnership chat here with Loncom Consulting. My name is Stefan, I'm the CEO of Loncom Consulting, and we have an amazing partner today to talk about our partnership, and that's Inspira. So I have Luke from Inspira here. First of all, Luke, thank you very much for having the time to kind of talk to me about our partnership. And at the beginning, I would like you to just introduce yourself, introduce Inspira.
So thanks for that lovely introduction, Stefan. That's a very, very nice one. So let's start at the beginning. I'm a co-founder of Inspira Digital. We did the 123rd ever store on Shopify back in 2008. So we've been around quite a long time. And we've been through a lot of challenges as Shopify's grown. We've seen it go from a very small community-based startup to a huge commercial enterprise, and all the intensive problems that comes with that. And we've been through a lot of, I would say, kind of solution. Like we in the early days when we were working on Shopify, it was a very locked down platform. So quite a lot of the time we would have to really hack around the problem. I think some of you guys will remember Hunky Bill on the forums. It was a guy who basically solved a lot of the problems for all of us. But what that's done, just to kind of bring that into line with what we do as a company, is that's created this very kind of innovative, solutions-orientated team. Myself and Mike are two different coins in that business. My other co-founder, Mike Harding, he comes from a very technical background. I come from a creative. So we kind of often talk about the fact that, we're a head and a heart company, right? We can do the technical stuff, but we do it with good heart, and, we're very brand fluent. So I think, Inspira Digital is a highly experienced Shopify implementation partner. And I'd like to say that, when you want to do the technical stuff and make it look beautiful, we're the team to work with. So that's a good intro.
There you go. I absolutely agree, intro. I think we kind of spoke about it. I think the technical and capabilities that you have within the team is pretty impressive when it comes to Shopify, especially. And, your experience, what do you say, 2008? Like that's 16 years ago. That's quite a long time ago. What I'm interested to find out is what was back in the day a massive problem on Shopify that is just a click away today.
Oh my God, so many things. Let's talk about, multi-currency is now a total click away. Obviously nothing existed in terms of multi-currency. If you wanted to essentially customize your checkout, you would have to hack and inject code all over the place. Now with the new checkout situation, with extensibility, obviously there's a lot more control over that now. And it was silly things like, messages after the cart's been completed, you would have to do some random JavaScript hacks to do that. But now obviously Shopify's become much more modular. They've realized obviously that you can't lock everyone down that much, but I would consider it like an back then it was like a Duplo Lego set. Right now it's advanced techniques, like much more granular and much more modular, I'd say.
Okay. No, very, very interesting from that side. I think what I love the story. I think I love the story of Inspira Digital, the co-founding with Mike and everything that you kind of built off of the back of Inspira altogether. But I'm 100% sure that you as a kid didn't imagine to be a co-founder of a marketing agency that does web development in Shopify. So how did you get to here? Like, what's the journey that led you into Inspira?
It's an interesting one. I think so really early on, I was a sportsman, and I played at county level cricket and went on to audition for trials for England. I thought that might be where I went. Got bored of that. Then I became a snowboarder and I came ninth in the country at Sheffield in 1996, and then moved from my crew down to the southwest and ended up becoming more involved in surfing. And then my next passion was music, right? And all the time while I was doing this, the kind of job that I was into was a designer. I was a graphic designer. So all the time that I was doing this, I always felt that work was kind of a means to an end to do the things I enjoyed. And I was just waiting for one to catch fire, right? And I got to the stage where I was in a band, and I had a moment where I was like, oh my God, I really want to be, instead of going to a festival, I want to be on stage playing at a festival. And I kind of set that goal, right? I got very, very close. I played at a few festivals, not any big ones. But in doing that, I kind of got to the stage where I was working as a graphic designer for one of the top 10 agencies outside London, a company called Bray Leno. And I was very, what's the word? I felt like, oh my God, I'm either going to be here for 10 years trying to go up the ladder, or I'm going to have to reinvent what I'm doing. So I made a really short, sharp, snap decision to just literally jump out of my career, go chase the band dream and be a freelance designer. And I did this whole thing for about 6 months, where I worked a full day's work and then did from 6 o'clock in the evening till 3 o'clock in the morning, working on my freelance clients to build up my client base. And it was great that I was in a band, because effectively that gave me a load of contacts. And obviously I was traveling up to London and doing stuff. And it just so happened that one of the people in the band owned an IT company that was based out of Reading. And that kind of got me into some really good clients. I then consequently bumped to Mike. We'd always been friends, right? So we were kind of always socializing, and we'd always say, oh, we should do something together. We should do something together, right? And so it got to the stage where I had my client base. He just recently started up an SEO company called SEO Dynamics, spelled with a K. And
Okay.
and we kind of decided that, considering he's coming from the SEO side and I'm coming from the creative, and we're both building websites, why not work together, right? And we started to. So we basically pulled down a bedstead from my old IKEA bedstead, turned that into a desk in my back room at my house, and we started working on clients together, right? And then we kind of slowly but surely kind of realized that we kind of occupied each other's blind spots, and we brought in a designer. Our first designer came in was Mike Friars, who's been a long term with us now, a managing director. And so but surely we kind of, pursued that goal, and obviously my band didn't take off, but the agency started to take off, especially as Shopify just started to go stratospheric, and we were doing more and more work for Shopify. And interestingly, our goal at the beginning was to build our own platform, which we've kind of completed the circle on. But because Shopify kind of grew so quickly, we found that our skill sets, we had a good development team, we had design capability, we had a well-rounded team that really applied to people who were looking to get the most out of Shopify. And we just took off from there, right? We got on the right way. The surfing analogy is we surfed the Shopify wave. And it was fantastic, right? It was really good. We grew from that IKEA bedstead to a custom table. Then we moved to our own offices, and then the offices got bigger. And each time we moved into bigger offices, like, are we possibly going to fill this? And yes, we did, right? And so each step was like, it was always a bit of trepidation, but it was a really kind of, I guess, fluid process. And we kind of found ourselves, one of the first on the platform to be a partner, and one of the first to go into the Shopify Plus partner platform, which is soon to be, the Plus. I think the Plus brand name is disappearing very soon, right?
Well,
that's a potted history of where it came from.
He definitely Inspira has a lot of history in Shopify, and I think a very well recognized agency, especially in the UK. You guys are well known, aren't you, from that side? That's why made a partnership with you, knowing all the kind of case studies you've done, all the amazing projects that you've been involved on that side. And what I'm hearing then from you, it has been really a journey then from
massive,
from what being in a band all the way to now running a 16-year-old agency and having your own tech platform and things like that and so on. But where are you currently with Inspira? What are the challenges that you currently as a business are facing as a Shopify web development business? Where do you want to also lead it in the next year or so?
It's a very good question, Stefan. And it's one we're currently going through a renewal of our website, right? And I think part of that process is to kind of have a look internally at what you are as a company and consider where you need to be for the next, 4 to 5 years, right? The old line of skate to where the puck is going to be, not where it is, right? So I think, to sum this up, we have been through a whole business cycle on Shopify, and we're going into a new one. I mentioned this the other day, actually, is that, I think between 2010 to 2021, that was the golden years. They were the golden years in e-commerce. They, low competition, lots of opportunity, lots of edge, lots of people and lots of growth and lots of investment. And that was the environment. It was a golden age, right? I think looking back at that now, we didn't really know how good it was. Now you have a very busy agency landscape, a lot of competition. Effectively, people are looking to get more from less. We're seeing a bunch of very young, energetic people come into the market and make a big noise, which is always interesting, because you're like, I remember when we were one of those back in the early days, right? So I think the challenges are, one, we have to stay very agile. I think two, one of the things that we're also seeing is traditionally agency work is getting eroded a little bit by some apps and platforms that are out there to come in and commoditize what was potentially, agency fodder. Let's take, for instance, speed optimization. That is something that could occupy a dev over a long period of time, and can make a big difference to a business. But for the business, that's quite a costly effort. Now you've got platforms coming in who kind of cache the site, do all the analytics and have commoditized that down to a monthly fixed cost, which is very appealing, right, for a brand to use. So in that kind of changing landscape, the way that we're handling this is that we're ultra specializing. So we're basically focusing 100% on what it is we're brilliant at. And we can talk about the services we offer a bit later. But the other thing is that, in line with this call, right, is that if a vendor comes to you, and I feel the challenges that vendors have these days is because our industry has kind of fractionalized into this specialization, because it's asking us all to specialize highly, is that if a vendor wants a toolbox, right? They want to be able to solve all of their challenges. They're never going to get it in one place unless they go and spend an absolute fortune with a huge agency, right? That's what they've got to do. But if they can go to a very, very focused technical partner or service provider who has brilliant contacts and brilliant partnerships and brilliant relationships beyond their core focus, well, then what's going to happen? It's going to be, well, I know someone who can do the SEO. I know someone who can manage and extrapolate your data for you. And that becomes really important. So I think that's the challenge now, is one, identify exactly what you're brilliant at it, hyper focus on it, sell that really well, and then create these really strong, highly integrated partnerships. Because when a vendor comes to you, you can say, well, we can do this bit for you, and for everything else, we've got these guys on our Slack channel. That's how integrated we are, and we have that with you guys as well, don't we, at Loncom? So that's the challenge, and kind of some of the solutions I see that are in the marketplace right now.
I think you've just beautifully described not only the agency side of things and the challenges facing, but also from the brand side of things, and also looking at it. It's a very fast-moving industry that we are all in. It's very agile. There's a lot of solutions out there. It's difficult to pick which one is the best. Who is the best agency? Who's really can do something good for me? Which is the best tech platform that can help me with that solution? Because rarely you will find any agency that really specializes in that thing that you want. There's always going to be multiple, and there's rarely going to be a tech platform, the only one that can solve your problem. There is always going to be a multiple side of things. So knowing those kind of key areas and position yourself in the market. Also, I'm a big believer in a niche. We are extremely niche, operational data analysis, systems implementation. You won't find a lot of us out there doing that for brands. And that's what I believe, that power of niching out. And as you said, focus on the things that we are good at can really yield good results over the time. And also, of course, partnerships. Of course, we're going to talk about that, and because that was a call this one, but I think it's having that integration and finding really what works well for you is good. But then also, I can understand that from the agency point of view, it takes time, doesn't it? I think to sign a project these days, it takes much longer than maybe it was 2-3 years ago, because there is so much competition out there in the market.
Yeah, and look, on that particular point, the business that we're just about to bring over the line has been a year in the making. We first spoke to these guys sort of spring 2023, right? And so, and this is generally part of the nature of the bigger clients, right? The more enterprise level clients. But yeah, and I think, in that interim, we've had to discuss with them on multiple subjects. And one of the things I think that's differentiated us is our ability to tap into our partners and answer those questions. Say, all right, well, we're not specialists in this, but I can speak to Stefan about your data, and I can say, well, the approach might be this, and protect. And you're instantly, you're not giving a lot of time away, but you're adding a ton of value, right? So, that's a good point to be talking about.
Yeah, and I think also an interesting and an ecosystem that we are currently in, interesting atmosphere from that perspective. E-commerce is fun, I think, in the majority of cases. On the topic that's gonna inspire and everything about you. So, look, let's imagine that I'm a brand. I need a new website, right? And I type in web development. You come in there. A lot of other marketing agencies come in there. Why would I go with you? What's the main selling point that Inspira Digital has? And what are kind of the industry problems that you really resolve from off the back of that? What do customers and brands approach you with that you see kind of as a general denominator of all of those in order to say, yeah, that's the problem that Inspira can do well?
So it's interesting. The answer I have for that, right, and I'll probably preview a little bit of what we're going to put on our new website, right, is that we're basically saying that we are Shopify delivered. And the idea here is that, yes, we're experienced. Yes, we're technically competent. We can do the job. We can understand a brand. But the one thing that makes that work is fantastic communication, right? You have to have that, right? If you don't have that from the outset, and that's honest, open communication that's about not, putting the elephant in the room, not talking about it because it's inconvenient. It's about full frontal honesty, right? And good communication. And if you start off on that road, no challenges is insurmountable with any brand that you work with. So I like to think that people come for our technical ability and our knowledge and our expertise, but they stay because we're a reliable, safe pair of hands, and we're highly consultative and put a massive premium on good communication. I think that's one of the things that differentiates us. The fact that we are, that we focus on a very niche part of things. I mean, so, if you talk about the services we offer, I've got a list here, so forgive me, I'm going to just reel off a bit of a list here. We do workshops, which is what we call Shopify consultation, which is effectively when we're dealing with some of our bigger clients, they often need to be untangled from their preperceptions of how their business is running. We understand that the longer a business has been running, the more kind of momentum it has in a certain direction. So there's change management and all sorts of things. Something we've talked about a lot before, Stefan, specifically on the data side. So we like to take a very kind of an approach where we understand the business before we try and make assumptions to solve their challenges. But there are, a number of services that we do that where we do it. We've done it for so long, we can be fairly sure about how to solve those challenges. And that can be custom theme development. Platform migration is a big one for us. And it's one of the things I'll mention about that is data is a massively important part of platform migration. Yeah. We do Shopify store support. So our goal here with Shopify store support is effectively, if you're a vendor and you want somebody on hand to be able to just offset tasks that you don't want to do internally too, we're here. We have a really competitive business model for that. It's like a pay-as-you-go model, so that everyone stays in control of budgets. We have Shopify 2.0 theme upgrades, so that's the whole concept around making sure your store is making the best use of the Shopify platform. You're not on you're not off the upgrade path, stuff like that. Optimization, we talked about speed and conversion. Obviously, that's a kind of changing environment here. And one of the things that we're looking to do, and we're kind of doing as we're doing with you, is kind of digging into the speed solutions to see which one is best, because then we can advise you on what's best to do. Taking stores international, building subscription, and then the one thing I'd say we're very good at here also is building custom Shopify apps. We've obviously built one ourselves as a team, Alvio, but also, that takes us into the kind of advanced integration side, the advanced store functions and that kind of area. So we're very, very focused on everything to do with your store and you getting the most out of it as a business. That's, as Shopify, on a Shopify platform. So that's where we're 100% focused.
Okay, now I think, first of all, thank you for the exclusivity. Shopify delivered. I like that. I definitely like, and I can't wait to see it on the website side of things. I know the work you've been doing. I think some of the case studies, I would definitely urge anybody listening to this to check out Inspira and the case studies that they've put together. I mean, some very impressive areas. I always remember, and I always mention this to you, I think every time that I see that project that your co-founder Mike told me about when you went into the acoustic, the sound engineering area. I absolutely love that project that you kind of made these things that make it extremely cool. And I think also what you mentioned out there, the partnerships that we make here from Loncom is not just with anybody and everybody, because in reality we kind of do, right? So we take off agency kind of problem data migrations very easily because that's what the team does here at Loncom. But we chose, I think, Inspira just because of the values that you have, because of the service that you provide. You mentioned that communication, which we're also very, very big on getting that transparency out there. And I think also apart from that, we talk about business problems, we talk about business wins and how do you elevate them and share opinions and talk about that. And you're a nice guy, so that's also kind of positive. I always there's always much easier to do business with people that are nice than those that are not nice, kind of on that side.
Back at you, Stefan.
Thanks, I appreciate that. But I just can also touch on our partnership. So, I mean, I've known you now longer than a year, for sure. I even went to visit you guys in Barnstaple and saw the offices there together with Mike and things like that. So this partnership for us, at least from our side, was really a no-brainer. Known you for so long, learned so much from you. There is a great potential, opportunities we worked on together and things like that. So I think definitely it's an exciting one to look out there. And I think both of us in a partnership can bring quite a lot of good to brands out there in the market.
Yeah, I mean, so I think, from our perspective, why we're partnering with you, right? I think there's a big part of ecom, and I think we've kind of learned this together recently, Stefan. I think we're realizing this is a massively important part of what we're doing is, when we migrate customers, we've always started with data, right? One of the things that has to be in place for an e-commerce agency or an e-commerce brand to be operating at its best is to have structured, organized data. It's a no-brainer, right? And the amount of times, so I think it happens more when you're migrating more like businesses that are more mature, basically make do and amends. They kind of like just arrived at this place, and it's total chaos and total mess. And I think so. We understand the importance of data. There's an area of it with which we're capable of handling, but we know that we can't get as much out of that data as we can unless we work with someone like you. So, we're often talking to clients where we need to kind of go and sort this out. So I think that's key. I think it feeds into migration and it feeds into the success long-term of a business. Now, my idea here is, and this is kind of confirmed a little bit by Ian from Stockley, was at the last ecom event, actually, where we were talking about AI, which we'll kind of come on to later in the conversation, I think, is that I think for people to start taking part in this business cycle I mentioned, the next part of this is it's going to be absolutely vital for you as an online business to have structured, organized, efficient data sets. Because if you don't, you're going to miss out on all of the innovation coming down the line. You're literally going to, as Ian mentioned on his talk, I think if you want to take advantage of AI and of all the new platforms and all the new functionalities coming down the line, having your data organized is going to make it much easier for you to leverage that. And it doesn't just end there. It's like, if you do have structured data, like for instance, we want the front end of the store to be successful. We want the customer to end up turning over more money. And we could build the most beautiful site, but if it's unorganized behind the scenes, they're going to be they're going to be hobnobbed. They're on crutches or hopping down the road. You're not getting them. They're not running at full speed. Whereas, if we work with someone like you, Stefan, and you organize their data and you start, and we had that conversation about sizes, about stock, about getting stock and about where to, invest your stock and things like that. That basically feeds into business efficiency. It feeds into what they're going to do on the front end, how they're going to approach their customer, consequently affects our design work that we do. And overall, it means that just as an experience, the client is going to come to us, maybe work with us to do the site, maybe work with you to do the back end data organization. They're going to level up and they're going to get absolutely tons of value out of that from both of our sides because they'll feed into each other. So I think this is why I think we're partnering with you, is because it's going to be such an important part of modern commerce going forward from here.
Yeah, no, absolutely agree. I think to kind of start at the beginning is we are big advocate that exactly what you said. You can't use AI if the data is not clean enough. I always give an example, in the Shopify terms is Shopify doesn't see the difference in the capital letters when it comes to categories. So what we see constantly across our clients is, somebody spelled a T-shirt with a capital T and with a lower T. Those are two different categories. The Shopify.
Oh my God,
reporting, it's a mess, right?
I mean, we're starting to get geeky here, but yeah, that is a bugbear when it's that stuff.
Exactly. No, I fully agree. And then in reporting, it's like, that's the first thing that we kind of clean up, because we always say to the brand, right, so why do you even have to waste your time on putting those two filters, different ones, when it comes to reporting and dashboard? So you're telling me that you have a trouble and you're taking a little bit more time on making a report. How is AI going to look at that? It's going to look at the two separate categories. Yes, maybe the learning models are going to pick up those two differences and they're going to say, yes, it's the same, I can combine them. But there is that additional effort that you definitely have to do from that side. And then the second is that I think what brands also don't realize is that when you have two service providers working in a partnership, it's just so much better. As you said, we're connected on Slack. I don't have to go through the client in order to get to you to ask you a question. I just drop your WhatsApp text and it's being answered within 10 minutes, So that's kind of the advantage of having the partnership side of things. And I think definitely a beautiful story in writing, I think in general, is going to be between Inspira and Loncom Consulting. But to finish off, I do have 3 quick questions, right? So
I'll be quick on these.
That's all right. The first one goes, if you had a magic wand, what would you change?
I think it feeds into this question, right? For all of our clients to suddenly understand how important data organization is, right?
I say, okay, this is going into a clip. Hey, this is going into a YouTube short. I'm going to quote you on that.
I think that's it in a nutshell. It's like, understand that, you can polish a turd, right? But at the end of the day, this is having your business optimized from the baseline up is massively important. Don't underestimate that.
I like the answer. Absolutely like the answer. Tell me about the second one. Tell me about the coolest projects you ever worked on.
3.
Okay, let's go.
So Gym and Coffee, Shopify recently told them, it was a while back now, but maybe about 6 months, 18 months ago, we worked on this. But they went to Shopify for a multi-store location solution. Shopify basically told them it's impossible. You can't do it on the platform. So Jim and Coffee, a client of ours, reached out and said, hey guys, is this true? And we went, hang on, let's have a look. And we came up with a solution, implemented it for them, and boom, it was brilliant. It was a great case. It's a case study on our website, really worth checking out. Secondly, back in 2017, I worked with a payments company called Payzing. They're sadly not around anymore, but they were trying to bring Bitcoin payments to Shopify. And that was a really interesting insight into the payments industry, how political it is, how much there's bung money. There's all sorts of things going on in terms of getting involved in that. And it was really interesting to see how Shopify handled that at the time. So I learned a lot about the payments industry and that. And then obviously lastly, I can't not mention this, is obviously Alvio, the whole experience of bootstrapping our own platform just during the pandemic. That was an incredible experience, and it was just circle the circle. That's why we started. We wanted to build our own platform. We kind of got distracted being a Shopify expert. It was great to kind of combine all that and then come back and do a platform. So it's that those are the three coolest that I can think of at the moment.
No, I definitely encourage anybody listening to this. So there is going to be another similar webinar recording with Ian Rabbich, also as a co-founder in Alvio. So definitely check out what Inspira Digital and how it grew into that platform. But that's a story for another time.
That's another day. That's another day.
Yeah, exactly. I have a last one for you to wrap up this recording altogether. Is what's hot and what's not.
I'm going to be a bit I guess, what's the word? No, I'll be cuddly on the hot stuff. I mean, look, win-win. I mean, I think win-win collaborative partnerships, right? Golden, right? They're absolutely intrinsic to what we're doing in the industry at the moment. I think B2B and enterprise clients that's the next big growth area for Shopify. That's where we're focused. I think I'm going to be very controversial here. I'm going to say AI, right? Okay. No, I think it's hyped at the moment. I think there's a lot of expectation of it being this catch-all massive solution. It's not yet, but it will be, right? So, and then the other thing I was going to say is obviously what's not is unstructured, unorganized data. We can agree on that one.
Okay.
Definitely. That's
lot of good. Okay, there in this call, I think we have a lot of good clips that I'm going to catch you on. I'm going to quote you on our website to say all about these things about data. So absolutely right. Absolutely.
That's great.
But no, look, thank you for your time. Very excited for this partnership to kind of get started, as now we have all of this. There's a lot of things that are going to happen. We have events planned. We have various co-marketing activities planned and things like that throughout the years coming in the future. So it's going to be definitely the one to watch out for. And I just wanted to thank you for your time today, and thank you for joining me in the partnership chat.
Not a problem, and great questions, Stefan. I really enjoyed those.
Cheers, Luke. Thank you.
Nice one. That's great. Cheers.